Hi guys, I thought I'd bring you along today as I start some seeds and get them ready for the garden. And I wanted to first give you a quick how I keep track of what to start when. I use these calendars that I get every year at the Dollar Tree. They're simple. They've got like month on 2 pages. I like that it has lines. That's kind of hard to find. They're decent thickness pages, good quality, and they're $1, and I usually buy several of them for different purposes during the year. And I have this that I printed from UT also that has like hints about my specific area. Your local universities probably provide something similar. But I use one of these to keep track of when to plant something and also like possible harvest dates, so I know to keep an eye out for some things. And the first thing I do is I go through and I mark down the first and last frost dates. So like I put my last frost here, April 30th. Technically my last frost date is April 15th, but if you know how frost dates work, they are estimations that are like a 50-50. So if you go by your frost date on the U.S. hardiness zone, you can find a date that where there's a chance, a half, really, like a 50% chance that after that date there will be frost. So I go by the NOAA date, which gives me a 90% chance of no frost. Now last year, planted on May 1st, and there was no frost in the forecast, and we still got one in like May 8th or something. So it's always a risk, but I go with April 30th. So I mark that in my calendar, and then I go back and I number the weeks, 1, 2, 3, like just a week back, and I go backwards for several weeks, because when you start planting your seeds, the information on the packet will usually tell you something like start indoors 3 to 4 weeks before your last frost date. And that just makes it, when I'm going through so many seed packets, having it on there makes it really easy to figure that out. I'm not having to constantly figure that out. I can just look for the date, the little number that I put in the different color pen. I also do the same thing for the first frost date in the fall. Mine's October 8th. I've got 1 week, and I go back because your fall crops, 2, 3, 4, 5, your fall crop seeds will say before your first frost. And then I also mark a few things like here, like 100 days before my first frost or something like that. So I go through, and something else that I do in here is that when I have something like right now, it's the end of February. We're over here today, February 24th. And it's between 9 and 10 weeks until my first frost date. So there's not that much that has to be seeded yet, but there are some things that I want to get going. When I look at the packet, when I get it in the mail and I write it down on the calendar before I store it, I will put it anywhere in this week, because I'm not actually going to get stuff out every day or almost every day and start seeds. I'll just put it somewhere in there, and then once a week I get out my calendar and my stuff and I seed or do whatever I need to my seeds, my seedlings, my planting schedule, whatever needs to be done. And also, when you get up to these dates like this, where there's a lot more to do, you can't fit them in one box anyways. So I just write them all over that week, several little lists, and then look at the whole week at once. So that's just how I keep track of that. Now, once I take a plant and actually plant it outside, it grows as a seedling inside under the lights, and then you harden it off, and then you put it in the ground. Then you have like your days till harvest. That's usually on the seed packet too. And so I will, once I put it that day, then I will count forward and I will mark on my calendar the harvest dates. And I usually mark it like I'll mark it on that date, and then a few days before, even a week before, I'll do a little pencil, like start checking for, because things can be a little early. I've had that happen quite a bit. A lot of things are early. I just wanted to give you that real quick, how I keep track of it really easy. This also, I can keep this around my planting stuff, because this is like a plasticky cover and doesn't get messed up if a little water and dirt get on it. So today I'm actually starting, where's my list for today? Because I didn't start any last week. So I'm starting a little bit of kale today, which I will also start some in a few weeks, kind of succession plant it. Cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, tomatillos, celery, peppers. I'm going to start banana peppers, mini bell peppers, California wonder bell peppers, ancho poblano peppers, and Anaheims today, and some Dichondra for my planters. I'm planting celery, but I'm going to show you my seed starting, but I'm not going to do the celery. That's actually for my son. Actually, I'm going to do some for my son though. So I'm going to leave a couple things open so that when he gets home from school, he can plant his as well. Okay. So I will take you over to my kitchen island because that's the most convenient place for me to start my seeds. Okay, so I have a couple trays here. Actually, I have one tray for today. And it has one of these plastic lids because when you're first starting seeds, you want to be able to keep the humidity inside. Once they've sprouted, you can remove this. I like to use these little peat pellets as my seed starters. This fits something like 72. I don't even remember. I just remember that I needed a lot. Let's see, I've got 5 that way. I'm gonna do a bunch this way, and then you pour your water in and they will start to reconstitute and spring up. They're short and they'll be like this tall. These are the peat pellets I ordered by the package of 100. If you watched my seed haul video, I got these from Pine Tree. My trays are from Johnny's. Last year I went with some Jiffy trays that I got at Walmart. They're a little bit cheaper, but I was just starting and I didn't need as many. And I still have those. I'll probably get one more year use out of them, but I knew this year I needed more. Which, by the way, when you're doing this, there's like a full side and then a side with a little dot. I'm putting the dot side up because that's where the opening will be for my seed to go. Sometimes you have to pull a little stuff off the sides. Sometimes it separates pretty well on its own. But this really doesn't take as much time as the first time I did it. I thought it would take way longer. Let's see, where am I filling in here? So I have 5 across by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 50. I can actually fit a few more if I wanted, but I think 50 is enough for this seed starting. They will float in the beginning. It's no big deal. You can just, once they've absorbed all the water, you can sit them where they need to be. And one thing I like about these trays is that they have like the lines on the bottom so that you can put water in the bottom and measure. Like once these are done and they've sprouted, you have to transplant them to little pots. And you can put the pots in here too and water from the bottom, which is nice. See, they're all gonna float now. But as they start to soak up water, they'll stop floating because they'll be big and heavier because the water weight will help them stay down. I don't know why, I always do that, like arrange the grid, even though I know they're gonna float kind of out of their grid and I'm gonna wanna put them back. The grid is not necessary, I'm just anal that way. So this is the first part. It just takes like 5 minutes maybe for them to soak up the water, and then you can start putting your seeds in. So it's been like 2 minutes, guys, and I don't know if you can tell, they've already done up quite a bit. I'm going to put in another pitcher of water. Stop it right behind me. But I wanted you to see this. It's been like less than 5. I'm gonna put more water because some of them still need to do more. And I also wanted to make mention of the fact that I am using warm water, not hot, but warm. I just think it helps the seeds get off to an even better start. But I'm looking for these types of things, you know, where they haven't come up as high as some of the others. And making sure that they have more water in their section of the tray. But all that water I put in the beginning is gone. It's all soaked up. Let's see how long this takes. Down far enough. So real quick, I also wanted to mention tagging. I tag each and every seedling. Sometimes I'm lazy and do a row and I always regret it. But one thing I'm trying new this year is I'm using a paint pen on my tag markers because I have had really horrible luck with them. whatever I write on them fading in the sun over the course of the summer. And I have tried special garden markers, UV markers. There's these Sharpie, UV, Extreme, whatever. I've tried them all and they all fade and quickly. So I'm trying like a paint pen that you would use on glass type thing, and I'm hoping that that works. I will say the downside is that it takes time to dry, but not as much time as I thought it would, and it's kind of inconsistent. You can kind of see where it's a little bit gloopy in some spots. But if it keeps all summer long and doesn't fade, I will be super excited, and I will deal with the fact that it has to dry and all of that stuff. If you have something that's tried and true for you that works really well for non-fading garden markers, I would love to know what it is. Please let me know in the comments, because if this doesn't work, or if I could use, if there's some normal pen out there that works faster, I would just love to know. This is my last. I don't know what to do after this if this doesn't work. Just let me know. Okay, so after I poured the water on, I started putting them back in their grid because they were heavy enough to stay in place. And I stuck them closer together, and I was able to add some more down here. So this is the original 50, and I added 4 more. I could do this, I guess, and make a 5th more one in here, so that I can fit 55 in this one tray, at least for starting. Once I pop them up after they sprout, I'll have little pots in here, and it will be less in one thing, but that's a different issue. So I now have 55. These are doing pretty well. I'm going to give them a couple more minutes for these over here to finish soaking up water and catch up in height with the rest. So all in all, I would say less than 5 minutes from when I put the first batch in, watered them, let them soak in, put the second dose of water, and put the other things in. Less than 5 minutes. These are almost done over here. So it's a pretty quick process. Real quick, I thought I should mention that there are some seeds that I soak before I plant. So before I get started putting my seeds in my Jiffy Peat pellets, what I am doing is soaking all my pepper seeds. I am just going to leave them. This is warm water, like lukewarm. Leave them there so they're labeled. Whatever small containers you have on hand would work. This is like a little condiment container for lunchbox. Bathroom cups would work, shot glasses, whatever you have around. And I'll just leave them here for anywhere from half an hour to a couple of hours. I probably wouldn't go more than 10 or 12 hours, but I just feel like it gives a better germination rate. Also, I wanted to point out that it may look like I'm planting a lot of peppers. I am overplanting. I overseed almost everything because I am not sure how many will germinate. And then if something happens like a frost and I need to replant, I can sometimes have more plants on hand, or then I might have extra plants to give away and or sell. So these have about 20 seeds each. I'm probably only going to use about 5 of each. But like I said, you won't get 100% germination rate. And then extras I could either use if something happens to a plant, or I can sell or give away. Last year I gave away a lot of tomato plants to friends, so it's fun to do. Okay, so my little discs are all hydrated and plump, and I'm going to start seeding a few things. I've got Dichondra here. They come in, the seeds are so small that they were an extra vial because they would fall out of the extra little spaces. So I'm going to use a toothpick to kind of coax them out and put a couple in there, and I just push down a little tiny bit of the peat moss over the top and go here, a couple there. I do 1 to 2 per peat pellet, just to, again, germination. If one doesn't germinate, the other will, and I can either thin it later or I can separate it. I think I only wanted 3 of that one, and then I'm going to take my little Dichondra. This is the Emerald Falls. So I'm going to take my Dichondra Emerald Falls markers and put one on each. I like to put it in the outside little skin things that are on the peat pellets. And they stay, it kind of holds them up nice and tight, and I don't have to worry about them getting in the way of my plant sprouts because they're on the outside edge. Okay, so I'm gonna keep on doing that with all of my stacks of seeds here that we're doing. I'm doing the Dichondra, I told you, Silver Falls, Snow Crown, cauliflower, the peppers I showed you earlier, they're still right here soaking. Broccolini, asperbrock, white Russian kale, our favorite, so I'm planting more of that than the other kale. A Bobcat F1 cabbage, a Galileo Nero kale, celery, Deline, this is for my son and I, Violacio de Verona cabbage, Casper kale, scarlet kale, lacinato or dinosaur kale, tomatillos. This was a trial one I got sent, Red Express cabbage, so I'm gonna try just like 2 of them and see. And then the Millennium F1 crown broccoli. And that is what I'll be putting in here. I should mention that I am, a lot of the spring crops, not tomatoes, the peppers that I'm planting now that go like all summer long and they're not ready to be in the summer, or tomatoes or anything like that, but all the things that are fall spring like kale and broccoli and cabbage, I'm not planting very many for spring. I tend to like the fall crops better of those. And so I am, dino kale's next. And so I'm just planting a little bit of each of those, and midsummer I will plant more of them for fall, because I just feel like those things taste better if they have grown up and then gotten a little bit of frost or colder weather. Whereas if you plant them in the cold weather and they finish in the hot weather, they're a little more bitter. Same with carrots. It's not time to plant carrots yet, but I will be planting way more in summer for fall eating than I will be planting for spring, okay? I'm gonna hold off on the celery. Let's go with some cabbage. And I'm just pushing down the top. When I put the seed in, just press it down slightly. So I ran out of room in here, which I knew was going to happen. I knew that I had slightly more than 55 tags ready to be planted today. So I pulled out this container, which was a Jiffy one. I believe I got it at Walmart last year. It was either Walmart or Lowe's. Same type of thing as this, just a little it's smaller and it's less, it's a little less stout. But I kept it because sometimes keeping one thing together can be a good thing. In this case, I'm going to finish putting my peppers in here. I'm going to put celery in here. Celery is slow growing. Keeping one thing all alike in here is a good idea as far as going in and out. So it'll just be one separate smaller container. This is meant for smaller pellets. I don't know if you can see the circle down in here. It's not meant for some this big, which is why I have it for like their kind of kitty corner. But if you buy one of these in the store, it comes with, I believe it's 12 pellets that fit perfectly in those circles, along with the bottom and the top. So just updating you on the starting of today's seeds. Okay, so I have these in my garage now. They're on a heat mat. Seeds need heat to germinate. They have their lids on. This one was a little too short for tags, so something to know if you buy this kind. It is, I had to turn the tags kind of sideways and put rubber bands on. You don't need like a seal, a real tight seal. But these are started, they're in my garage. This is just a shelf where I have stuff that we rarely get into. And so I put the heat mats on there. And then once they've sprouted, they will go up here to my grow light area, which I will be expanding this year. But that is the final step of getting them started. All right, since I hadn't taken my seed starting video off my phone yet to put on YouTube, I thought I would show you. It's 2 days later. I did that on Wednesday. Today is Friday, and there's already a few things sticking up. Here's a tiny little guy here. Oh, where's my finger? There it is. And I've got several little ones like in there. Little ones starting up. So it looks like we've got some, I don't have my glasses on, some dino kale, some dichondra, some broccolini over here. Oh, falling over. Over here, regular broccoli. Down here I've got some snow crown cauliflower. So just a couple things. This is actually pretty quick for things to be popping up. So that one. And then I did this small container that had celery. My son planted the celery in here. Sorry for video, one hand. I haven't looked in here yet. Anything? Nope, nothing yet. Celery is very slow germinating, so probably a couple weeks before that one, but there is just the 2-day update, already some things starting.